So the Browns took Jeremiah Owusu Koramoah in the first round. And you want to know what my thoughts are on that. You already know what my thoughts are on that. Am I okay with it? I'm more than A-okay. I'm J-okay. Yeah, guys, you know we're going to talk about Jeremiah Owusu Koramoah going to the Browns in the second round. But before I get into that, I want to make sure I give a shout out to the patreon.com dog check tier members. And as always, I start with Michael Matique, the most dangerous man in Cleveland, DJ, Marino V, Cleveland Cart, Matt H, Greedy Shoulder, Gemini, Liam Freeman, Fight Dirty 74, Yo-Yo, Matt Lloyd, Paul Wilcox, Hundo, Magnifico, Rob Ferron, Kyle Stouffer, Lukey from Munich, Deveroff, J Guy 101, Musty Taco, Joe Bobby, Brad Cabo, Dylon W, James McGinty, Arinda Hall, Rex Kaufman, Chad Gimme, David Maldonado, Andrew Sadeo, Dylan Hill, Josh Bendor, Jalil Salim Jr., Martha Crustnut, Mark M, TJ Showman, Stuart Moore, Bubbo Regretti, Anthony O, Cleveland BCI, Robert Jermaine Jr., Dave Mike May, John Cummings, Andrew Hirsch, Curtis Bear, Batman Rush Sharir, Barack Kumar, John Albert, Beerman 069, Masayua, Buds of Roland, James Nemo, Mac House, Reeve Hurst, Philip Wilcoxon, Marie Vivert, Keith Anderson, Sean Barron, Goggles Bizano, Corporal Nick Lopez, Don Godzillo, Nick Nasty, Ian Williker, Colin 216, Anthony Latham, Christian Madmon, Dave Strong, Michael Stone, Soul Train, Charles Work, Billy, Michael Holdenack, Moose Gentry, Austin Z, Mark Burnett II, Andre Griffin, Otis Wolf, IT Rex, Greg Ehlers, Austin Bolin, Kirkabard, Jesus Serrano, Chris Fawn, Pickdown, Browns Backers, Mark Kahn, Johan Hilf, Kevin Johnson, Max Aldojo, and Water Bear Marketing. Again, guys, thank you so much for your support. It means a ton. Now, let's talk about this pick. But seriously, the Browns found a way to get one of the most talented linebackers and the most game-ready, NFL-ready linebackers. Like when I watch Jeremiah Owusu Koramoah, I see Darius Leonard, a smaller, slighter linebacker who has incredible speed, incredible quickness, and can read as fast as he runs. He is going to be, in my opinion, a steal that we're going to talk about for years to come. I really do feel that strongly about Jeremiah Owusu Koramoah. Now, I could be wrong. He could not flourish in this system, but everything that he does great, the Browns ask a linebacker to do. The biggest question is how much greatness can a linebacker have in this system when it doesn't really rely on great linebacker play? That is a question to be answered, and that might be why he fell as far as he did. But those questions aside, when you're just looking at a player, when you're just looking at the film, when you're just looking at the tape, there isn't an argument to be made that there is a much better player at the linebacker position than Jeremiah Owusu Koramoah. I get the arguments for Jamin Davis. I get the arguments for Micah Parsons. I get the arguments for Zay Collins. But this is the only linebacker that I watch that I felt like, man, hands down, that's going to be a top 10 pick, a lights out linebacker. Now, for whatever reason, and sometimes this just happens in the NFL where teams overthink themselves, they let a good player fall. This would not be the first good player to fall in a draft inexplicably, right? Miles Jack fell to the second round, kind of like out of nowhere, even though everybody knew his issues coming into the draft and everybody thought he was a top 5 pick, turned out to be a good player. Tyrann Mathieu, right, fell to the third round, turned out to be a great player. The Browns took a corner out of Syracuse, or not Syracuse, San Diego State or something like that right before Tyrann Mathieu, because the Browns were one of the teams that were overthinking it at the time. Now they're not, right? Everybody is freaking out, not knowing why JOK is still there, wondering what's wrong. Is there something hidden? Is there something that they're not seeing? Or is this a player that they don't know exactly what the fit is? Again, I think they just overthought it. I think a lot of teams just overthought it at this point or overvalued some other players. Now, the game of football is evolving, but I thought that the linebacker position had evolved to the point where a guy like JOK could go early in the first round because he's clearly the best fit for today's NFL. But hey, their loss is our gain, and I am extremely happy with what the Browns gained here, which is a top-tier linebacker. Now, are the Browns going to need a linebacker? Are they going to re-sign him after 4 years? Those are all questions that need to be answered later on. But let's talk about what JOK brings to this defense. And the main thing he brings to this defense is what Andrew Berry has brought to this defense in loads, which is versatility, right? You talk about Jeremiah Owusu Koramoah, and one of the reasons people kind of talk themselves into not drafting him is because he's too versatile, right? Oh, I don't know if he's going to be strong safety. Oh, maybe he's nickel cornerback. Oh, maybe he's a linebacker. I don't know what to do with him. Oh, there's too much to do. It's too much work to figure out how to use this guy well in our defense, so let's just not draft him at all. Well, Andrew Berry sees that and goes, man, I need that kind of versatility because the NFL is a fluid game, right? The game always changes and adjusts. There's always going to be adjustments and small things that need to be made. And the more fluid and adjustable your defense is, the better off you are during the course of a season. This might not be a defense that's built to be number one defense in the NFL through all statistical categories, but it might be one of the most fluid defenses in the NFL, which is going to make it one of the more effective defenses in the NFL if all of these things pan out. You just look at the defensive side of the football and there's versatility all over the place. Let's just count it, right? You got Myles Garrett, defensive end, who can play inside, outside, stand up. He can go into coverage and he can blitz from the stand up linebacking position. Not that you would want Myles to do that because he's too good to have him stand up from the linebacking position, but he can most certainly do that if you asked him to. Then you go down the line, right? Malik Jackson is a pretty versatile inside defensive tackle. Sure, he's not going to be somebody who's going to be your true edge and go inside outside, but he's somebody who can be a power edge. He's somebody who can kind of hold it down at the nose in certain situation and also be a 3-tech, which is he's supposed to be, right? He can also do kind of the 3-4 thing, the 4-3 thing. He's done them both. Jadeveon Clowney, one of the most versatile defensive ends outside of Myles Garrett. Again, he can play 3 different positions. Add that on top of the versatility with the linebacking room. You got Malcolm Smith, who's a very good coverage linebacker. You got Sione Takitaki, who's a good run-stopping linebacker, and Jeremiah Owusu Koramoah, who you hope to be all-round. And then you have, the guys that are going to be hoping to make the team in Jacob Phillips and probably Mac Wilson. So we'll figure out what they're going to contribute to this team, maybe special teams, maybe something more. We'll figure out during the season. And then you look at the secondary, right? The secondary is amazingly versatile and full of very smart players. So you have Troy Hill, who's going to be inside, outside type of corner, right? He can play the outside if you really need him to. Let's say Greedy and Greg Newsome aren't ready to go. You can live with Troy Hill on the other side and be absolutely fine. Obviously, you have Denzel Ward, who's really good as a corner, and you have Troy Hill, who's really good as a slot corner and an outside corner. And then you have the competition there between Greg Newsome and Greedy Williams. And I see a bunch of debate happening on Twitter between Greedy fans and Greg fans and people kind of saying, well, Greedy's not done, Greg's not done. Guys, my suggestion would be just let that battle play out in camp. Whoever wins that battle, you're happy if you're a Browns fan, right? It's not like when Greedy was out here battling out with Terrence Mitchell and Terrence Mitchell would win starts over him at times. Like, no, that's not the case. Like, if Greedy wins out, that means Greedy's more ready than we thought. Greedy's going to take a step and, maybe the Browns have a nice trade piece going forward, or maybe the Browns have a long-term answer at corner or somebody that they can sign cheaper than Denzel Ward to replace on that side. Like, you got plenty of options if Greedy wins out and Greedy's ready to take the step. If Greg wins out, then boom, you got your second corner, and he's young, he's under control for the next 5 years, and you're fine. So either way, that shakes out. As a Browns fan, you're in a good spot, right? Greedy, Greg, whoever wins that competition, you're fine, and you have amazing depth because that's the competition at the other corner spot. You have a really good slot corner. You could even mess around, have Denzel play slot with some more dominant and fast slot options that you're going to go up against, and have Denzel follow around guys more often because of how flexible these corners are, that if somebody does have to shift inside, you're comfortable with somebody else taking the outside lane because everybody can play more than one position on the defense. So that's a very good situation for that secondary. And then you look at the back end, it's versatility all over the place. You got Jeremiah Owusu Koramoah, who could become a factor in the secondary, right? He could play some safety snaps if you really want him to, or in some strong settings, he can be a strong safety, not just against the run, but when you're in like end zone situations, maybe you want somebody heavier out there to go at a tight end, somebody with a little bit more length than like a Ronnie Harrison, then you can go JOK there. But you also got Ronnie Harrison, who's pretty versatile. He can play slot slot. He can play out. He can play strong, and he can play some free, even though he shouldn't play a ton of free. Same thing with John Johnson III. He can play free. He can play strong. He can play a little nickel linebacker. Like, he can do all of those things in the box, and he's very good at it. And he's a top 5 safety to boot. And then, you got Grant Delpit, who might have been the most versatile player in last year's draft. He's somebody similar to John Johnson, can play free, can play strong, can play a little sub-package linebacker and kind of do all of those things. A chess piece you can move around, somebody you can put in the slot, somebody you can even put on the outside against bigger, slower boundary wide receivers like an Alden Tate or something like that, right? So a ton of options and versatility for this defense. And now with Jeremiah Owusu Koramoah, you have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys who, if you put on the line of scrimmage, can go either forward or backwards and be an issue for opposing offensive coordinators. So in that respect, turning one of the least versatile defenses in football last year into one of the most versatile defenses in football last year. And to that respect, and this is why I have to applaud what Andrew Berry has done, is that he has turned one of the least versatile defenses in football into now one of the most versatile defenses in football. Now, that's all on paper. It's not proven yet. They have to prove it on the field, obviously. But if all of this comes together, right, this is going to be tremendous. You talk about the versatility in the back end. You have the versatility in the front end. It's just an amazing thing to see. And you have to give Andrew Berry credit because, again, last year he saw a problem with the offensive line in the tight end room, aggressively attacked that, right? Aggressive with his approach on that. Almost, to some people would say, overdid it, but he did just enough to have one of the best offensive lines in football. And then after this season, he saw what the weakness was in his mind. He felt like it was the secondary. The secondary was a massive issue. Well, this is not an overhaul. This is a extreme makeover of this defensive secondary. It's a complete makeover of everything this secondary was before and is now. So you have to hand it off to Andrew Berry. When he sets out to fix a issue with one side of the ball, he is all in on going aggressive and doing everything that he has to. And that's a good thing to know. You know, the free agent signings, the aggressive strategy in the draft towards the defense has now landed the Browns, I feel like, one of the more versatile defenses in football. Imagine some of the issues that they had against the Baltimore Ravens, who they did not beat last year. Some of those things kind of go away because you're so versatile, right? Now you're not as worried about Lamar being able to leave the pocket because you have somebody that can follow Lamar a little bit and actually hold up in Jeremiah Owusu Koramoah or in Grant Delpit. If Grant comes back, he's ready to go probably in the second half of the season. You have guys who are versatile and ready to go in that way. And it's not just one guy on one side of the field that you're relying on to do all of this. If this team stays healthy, if things fall into place how I think they should fall into place, this defensive roster might rival the offensive roster for what's the best unit on the team. And given how that was no competition last year, the offense was easily the best unit on the team, and it wasn't even close, right? That's a significant boost. And again, I just felt like the defense needed to get to the point to where they could be in middle of the league quality with how good the offense is. Now you're talking about a defense that, hey, look, they can do things and maneuver things in a way that, you know, if Joe Woods is really worth his salt as a coach, and if these guys pan out that we think it's going to pan out from free agency and the draft, you can really have, you know, I don't know if it's going to be a top 5 defense, but it could most certainly be a top 10 defense, no doubt. Might also be one of the best secondaries in football because there is versatility all over the place. And that is a tremendous thing when you look at this Browns defense. So hats off to Andrew Berry. He got my favorite guy in the entire draft in the second round. I don't know how they keep getting these first-round picks in the second round. This is like the third year where the Browns got somebody who people valued as a first-round pick in the second round, but they keep doing it, and I hope this is a trend, a long trend to become. But Andrew Berry did it again. Jeremiah Owusu Koramoah, feel like that's going to be a great pick for the Cleveland Browns. I'm excited about it. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. But again, guys, thank you for watching. Have a great day and have a great night.